This is the Winnerwell Nomad Large wood burning stove for hot tents. Now, I've watched the videos and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to hot tent camping. But it looked intriguing and I wanted to give it a shot. It looks enjoyable, it looks comfortable. So let me tell you about my experience the first night out. I want to talk about this stove specifically. The reason why I got the Winnerwell was I watched a lot of videos on YouTube, and this particular stove a lot of people had, and they spoke very highly of it. Being high quality, the accessories you can get with it. I got the large, which takes a 3.5-inch pipe. The measurements on it are 18.5 to the front and about 19 to the glass. So this will take a 18-inch log inside. The body is 10 inches tall and 10 inches wide. Now there's a couple things about this stove. So when you get a wood stove that you're going to use for hot tent camping, they suggest that you do a burn outside in the open air before you put it in your tent, which I did. I've never used this type of stove ever in my life, and I don't have a wood stove at home, so I'm a complete novice. One of the things I didn't really pay attention to was how much smoke was coming out of this unit when I used it outside. Now this is, I don't know what it's called. I think it's a hot plate. Let's see if I can get it off. There it goes. There's 3 tabs here that go into these 3 holes on the top, or slots. And the idea is that you take this off and you would stick your frying pan or your pot that you're going to boil water, so that the flame itself can heat directly onto your pot or whatever utensil you're using. It works perfectly well with this on, but one thing is when it's on, there's little gaps. You can see the flame through it. So my thought is, if you could see the flame through it, the smoke could also come out. When we took this into the tent for the first time, there was a tremendous amount of smoke. There was smoke coming out of here. There was smoke coming out of the door. There's the piece that goes on here has a flue. When you're burning this, if you read the directions, they tell you to always keep the flue in the open position. Never let this or this get glowing red. The problem we were having was that no matter what you did with this door here, this is your intake valve here, if you want to call it a valve. This is your intake, and this little door has notches. So you have closed, halfway, and 2/3 open. Or you can just swing it completely open. What was happening, and I didn't notice this when we did the first burn, was that if I was to have this open, and if I was to turn this halfway, smoke immediately puffed out of here, puffed out through the vent, through this hot plate, and puffed out through the door. So it quickly turned this back to full on. No matter what I did, I could not control the flame. It was burning so fast. If we did anything to try to slow it down, smoke would backfill the tent. So it just left it full open, and man, this thing got glowing red all the way up to the top. Ended up burning 2 holes in my brand new tent, Panda Air large tent. If you look those tents up, you'll see how expensive they are. Brand new, right out of the box, 2 burn holes. So I didn't know if it was a problem with the tent, or if it was a problem with the stove, or if it was user error. So I started looking into it. I talked to somebody that I work with who has a wood burning stove, and he was telling me that you have to control the intake. Well, there's no way for me to control the intake. I had this door completely closed, and it still was, you could hear it. So did a little bit of research online, and what I discovered is that some wood burning stoves come with a gasket inside here. This one did not. But if you go onto Amazon, or probably even do an internet search, you will find wood burning stove gasket. Now this is actually 2 gaskets in one here. Now this door seals. It works as it's intended to work. If I close it off like this, the flame drops way down. I can even turn this 3/4, 45 degrees open and have this closed, and it just simmers. This doesn't get bright red anymore. The stove still gets hot, of course, but it's the way it was designed. Here's the silicone mat. It's black on both sides. This was $69, I believe. For $74.95, you can get this same mat, but with a aluminum foil backing. I would get the aluminum foil backing. That will help push the heat back up and kind of maybe protect your. Because if I had melted the floor of my tent, I would have cried. I literally would have cried. It's a lot of money. Luckily, I bought a cheap indoor-outdoor carpet that was underneath that black mat, and the stove sat on top of that, and it burned the indoor-outdoor rug. So these are just my little things that I experienced with this stove. I don't really hear anybody else talking about any of the, I don't want to call them negatives, but any of the downsides to this stove, because I guess everyone just assumes you know what you're doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I still am learning. I'm not an expert, that's for sure. But these are some of the things that I learned about this stove configuration. Now it burns very well now. I feel like I could put this in the tent and trust it now. I didn't trust it before. My fiance and I were up all night. It was cold out, so we had to keep the fire going, but we didn't want to burn to death either. So, but all in all, even though we got 2 little pinholes in the tent, it's fine. It's still going to be usable and enjoyable, and I look forward to doing it more often. But I just wanted to give a quick review of this Winnerwell Nomad Large Stove and some tips on how to make it better if you're a novice like me. All right, hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, shoot me a question in the bottom, and I will answer your questions. All right, thanks for watching.